Hey guys, my name is Matteo, and today I'm excited to say that that big patch update that we've all been waiting for in Battlefield 4 has finally arrived. DICE has been working on this one for a couple of months now, and because of that, almost every facet of the game is seeing some sort of adjustment. Netcode improvements, Rush is now much more enjoyable game mode, they've done a lot to the visual recoil, weapon balance. Almost every single component of this game is seeing some sort of change here and there, and because of that, it can be a little daunting to jump on in and know exactly what all the changes are. And so that is what I wanted to accomplish in today's video, was to go over the big bullet points to kind of give you a better understanding of what you're going to be expecting now when you jump into Battlefield 4, because in my opinion, the game has vastly improved. And so the first thing that is worth mentioning is that over the last year, DICE has been trying to improve the netcode. We all know when the game launched, it was a hot mess. You were getting killed behind walls constantly, you were kill trading almost every other kill. It was a nightmare, and to try to have a competitive or enjoyable gameplay experience wasn't really all that possible, just simply because you were having all of these issues. To DICE's credit, over the last year, they've done a good job of tightening things up, and in this patch, they've tried to take it a step further. It's still by no means flawless. Like, I'm having those moments where I'm getting killed around corners, I'm still kill trading with my enemies, but the overall package, as long as I'm not just getting the placebo effect here, just confirmation bias, it seems like the netcode has been tightened up, and overall, your bullets are just going to register more often. And because of these improvements, DICE has made probably one of the most controversial changes that with this update, and that is that they've lowered the maximum damage of almost every weapon in the game. Assault rifles, LMGs, carbines, from doing 25 damage per shot up close down to 20. This means that if you are 10 meters away from your enemy, instead of requiring 4 bullets to take someone out, it's now going to require 5. DICE's reason behind this is that now that your bullets are registering more often, now that they've made this improvements to the netcode, time to kill should be about the same. It's still going to probably take you just as long to take someone out with this update, simply because your bullets are actually hitting your enemy more often than they were in the past because of these netcode improvements, and so there shouldn't be a whole lot of adjustment there. I'm not 100% sold on this because while I have no problem with it right now, I love the system back in Bad Company 2 and they had a much longer time to kill in that game, I have noticed a difference. Like when I'm using an AEK or a FAMAS and I'm trying to take someone out up close, there's a lot of moments where I think I've taken out the target, I've moved and switched on over to the next guy because I'm used to that 4 bullet time to kill, and I don't kill him simply because I'm just not adjusted to putting 5 bullets into my enemy. And so go into this patch knowing that it might take you a little bit longer in some circumstances to take someone out than what you're used to in the past. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I think overall it's going to improve the game, or it's not going to be terrible by any means, but it will take some adjustment. But probably my favorite adjustment with this update is that they've almost completely eliminated grenade spam entirely. You may still run into some issues if you're playing on Operation Metro or Operation Locker, but that just really comes down to the way that those maps are laid out. But if you're playing on basically any other map that has just a moderate amount of open space, you're not going to run into this issue anymore. Like, gone are the days where you have to be terrified of impact grenades. They're still in the game. They still do the same amount of damage. They have reduced the blast radius a little bit, so they're not as potent. But the biggest difference is that they've now reduced how many you can hold from 2 to 1. No longer will you instantly die to these things. Like, I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure you've experienced this as well, where someone knows you're around the corner, you're waiting with your primary weapon up, you're about to tango, you're about to have a firefight, but they decide to go the cheap route and just throw 2 impact grenades, not giving you any chance to react, and you die almost instantaneously, and well, of course, you're back at the spawn screen, and that sucks. That happened way too often in Battlefield 4. And so, in general, what they've done for pretty much all their grenades is reduce their blast radius, mainly just for the impact, made it so that you can't hold as many, and also they recharge a lot slower if you're standing on a ammo bag. The best example is that the impact grenade no longer takes 7 seconds to get another one back and ready from an ammo bag. It is now going to take 25 seconds. Like I said, grenade spam has basically been slapped in the face and is no longer an issue. Another amazing change is that DICE has done a lot to improve upon Rush. Not only have they moved around different MCOMs and they've put them in different locations so that it benefits the defenders or the attacking team a little bit more, but they've also actually put objects and cover where it's needed. So in the past, and I would say this is true for Battlefield 3, but definitely for Battlefield 4, they would create, I'm assuming they would create their Conquest version, and then they would just try to slap Rush onto that map and not really add anything to it. And because of that, a lot of the rounds were very lackluster. They were not balanced at all in some situations, especially if you were playing on Silk Road. Silk Road was terrible. You would get on the first base, and then you would have to run out in the open for about 30 seconds while the entire enemy team could line up around the rim of a dune and just rain death down upon anyone that tried to arm one of the objectives. This was true for a lot of the maps in the game. And so what DICE has done to try to remedy these issues is that they've placed down objects in key locations that you can use to block line of sight. So you're going to see some crates, you're going to see some objects that you don't normally see on the Conquest version, but make perfect sense when you're playing on Rush, and it really does allow usually the offensive team, because normally the offensive team was the one that was struggling on these rounds, the chance to get a foothold and hopefully eventually push up on the objectives and then win the round. In my opinion, Rush is in a much better place now. You hopefully will see a lot more servers running it, because it is a hell of a lot of fun. One thing that you might notice when you jump in and start playing again is that a lot of the weapons don't seem to have as much recoil. They're not bouncing around as much. And while the recoil numbers haven't changed at all, they're basically exactly the same for I think every single weapon in the game, what DICE has done is that they've eliminated, I think, all of the visual recoil in the game. One way that DICE tried to make all of the weapons feel more authentic, like you were actually using an assault rifle that's bouncing around and is really unruly, is with visual recoil. The problem with visual recoil is that while it had a more realistic feel to the game, it didn't match up with where the weapon was actually recoiling. So there would be circumstances where you're on your screen, your weapon would bounce one way, but the recoil would bounce slightly in a different direction, and they wouldn't match up, and so your bullets wouldn't be lining up where your cursor is aiming at. Doesn't make for the best competitive shooter, and so in general, across the board, most of these weapons are gonna feel like the recoil has been slashed in half. Like, it's a lot easier to control these things, because not that the recoil has changed at all, but just because the visual component of it is gonna make it seem like you're a hell of a lot more accurate. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that DICE has really done a lot to clean up the UI, or given us the tools in the options menu to clean it up ourselves. So you've probably had this happen on numerous occasions, where you're heading towards the action and your entire screen is cluttered with different icons. You have the blueberry triangles of your teammates, you might have a couple of enemies that are spotted off in the distance, you got the objectives there as well, if you're playing as the assault, the revive symbols, and the result of all of this is that you have these moments where an enemy rounds the corner, you may have noticed a little bit of movement out in the distance, you aim down sight to try to verify what the hell it was, still have no idea what it was because of that the crazy amount of clutter on your screen, and then of course the enemy doesn't have that issue because they're looking at you from a different direction, and they're able to win that firefight simply because you had so much going on your screen. And so what DICE has done is given us the tools to pretty much eliminate as much or as little as we want. I personally have made it so that if I aim down sight, almost everything disappears from my screen except for the little blueberry triangle, so I can distinguish what is an enemy and what is a teammate. One of the reasons why I stopped running around with the defibrillators, you guys may have noticed this in my videos, wasn't because I didn't want to help out my teammates, it was simply because I could not stand those icons cluttered up my screen, making it impossible for me to know what the hell was going on. Like, it frustrated me to no end. I literally stopped using one of my favorite gadgets in the game because of this issue. And so for me, this has dramatically improved the game for me. Like, when I aim down sight, everything is clear as day, I know what's going on, and so if you had this issue, which I'm assuming you do, take some time going through the options menu. It can be a little confusing. You may need to move some bars around here and there, but trust me, it is well worth the time investment and is going to improve your gameplay dramatically. The last thing that I wanted to do is kind of rapid fire some of the smaller points here that you might be interested in. And so the first thing is that you're probably going to notice a lot more DMR users. They've increased the bullet velocity. They've also made it so that they don't sound as annoying when you get shot at from them. And because they've reduced the damage model of almost all of the weapons in the game except for like DMRs and sniper rifles, well, of course, if you're going against someone who is using an assault rifle, they need to now put 1 extra bullet into you in those close encounter engagements, and you still need to only put 3 into them. So overall, DMRs, while they haven't seen a huge improvement by themselves, because of the subtle changes to other aspects of the game, their power has slightly been improved, and so you are going to see more people trying out these weapons. They have also completely removed the trigger delay on all of the revolvers. I know a lot of people are going to be thrilled by this. There's a lot of Magnum users out there that are probably screeching with joy right now. So if you love to use these secondary weapons because of the power that they hold but hated that trigger delay, I recommend that you give them a try once again. One change that I wasn't too excited about is that they've made slams not necessarily worthless, but they're no longer going to be the powerhouse that they were before. If you want to take out a tank, you're really going to have to use the mines. If you place down the standard 3 slams, it will no longer take out a main battle tank, and the only way to secure a kill on it is to, well, place down the 3. If they run it over, then you have to finish it off with a RPG. The revive system has seen some quality of life improvements with the addition of the triage system, which basically lets you know how long you have until someone is no longer going to be revivable. And the result of this is that when you enter a room and you see a dead teammate on the ground, you know exactly how long you have until you need to revive him. Do you need to go for that quick panic revive, or do you have a good couple of seconds to get the full charge off and get him back to 100% health? This also makes it so that if you enter a room and you see 4 dead teammates down on the ground, you can pick the guy that's about to be back at the spawn screen before you pick up the other ones that don't necessarily need your attention at that instance. But yeah, guys, those are all the major changes, or the ones that I found to be most important with this update. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of this patch. Are you enjoying it? Do you like the adjustments that DICE has been making? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.